You know, creativity, we've always thought of it as this uniquely human thing, right? That spark of genius that separates us from machines. But what if that's not true anymore? What happens when an algorithm can do more than just calculate? What happens when it can actually create? Let's break down one of the biggest questions of our time.
So let's just dive right in with a question that might feel a little personal. Is an AI more creative than you? I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but the data is starting to paint a really surprising picture.
So get this. Researchers, including some huge names in AI like Yoshua Bengio, just published a massive study. And their findings? Well, they sent a pretty big shockwave through the creative world. On some key tests for creativity, AI systems like GPT-4 aren't just catching up anymore. They've actually surpassed the performance of the average human.
But hold on, here's the really crucial part. Take a look at this. Yes, GPT-4 scores higher than the average person, and that's a huge milestone, no doubt. But the top 10% of human creators, they are still way out in front. This really suggests that AI's role might be more of a creative sidekick than a replacement for true top-tier genius.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth do you even measure something as fuzzy as creativity? Well, the main tool they used was something called the Divergent Association Task, or DAT. Basically, they asked both humans and AI to come up with 10 words that are as different from each other in meaning as possible. A really creative response isn't just random words. It's about spanning this huge conceptual space. Think words like galaxy, fork, freedom, and velvet.
And that brings us to the core of this whole debate. What is an AI actually doing when it creates? Is it just a thief, a data shuffler, or is it something more, like a muse?
You've probably heard this argument, right? The common criticism is that this is all just sophisticated plagiarism, that AI is just a clever copycat, making, as some people call it, a verbatim collage. But it turns out the answer is way more complex than that.
Okay, so there are two big ideas battling it out here. On one side, you've got the stochastic parrot theory. This idea says AI is basically just intelligently remixing the absolute ocean of data it was trained on. But on the other side, we've got this fascinating concept called emergent behavior. This is the idea that from all that data, AIs are developing brand new abilities they were never ever explicitly taught.
And this quote just nails the idea of emergence. Imagine a model trained on computer code and old literature, and suddenly it learns how to play chess. That isn't just remixing. That's a totally new skill born from the data. It's like the quote says, you can't just shuffle a deck of cards and expect a chess set to pop out. Something completely new has been created.
This really makes you question what originality even means, doesn't it? Every single human artist learns by studying, copying, and being inspired by the work of others. We synthesize all those influences into something new. And if you think about it that way, maybe AI is just a mirror, showing us how our own creativity depends on everything that came before.
So let's shift gears a bit, because beyond all the tech talk, there's a very real, very human cost to all this. For pretty much the first time, we have a technology that isn't just automating factory work, it's touching a core part of who we are, our creativity. And yeah, there's actually a name for this feeling: creative displacement anxiety. It's that specific kind of queasy feeling you get when you see a machine do something you thought was uniquely human. It forces you to ask some really tough questions about your own value and purpose in a world where creativity can be automated.
A lot of this anxiety is being fueled by the stories the tech world tells itself. This table here breaks it down really well. You see these values like automation and efficiency being promoted all the time. But the hidden message, the implicit meaning, is that creativity is just another process to be streamlined. And that can lead to a loss of control and a pressure to just churn things out instead of exploring.
And look, this isn't just theory. This stuff has real-world consequences for creators. People are reporting feeling a loss of identity, a huge sense of imposter syndrome. I mean, if an algorithm can spit out 100 different designs in a minute, it's easy to start wondering, why should I even bother trying?
But it's not all doom and gloom, not at all. There's another way to look at this, that this isn't a competition, but the beginning of a totally new kind of collaboration. This is pretty wild. When you actually ask these generative AI systems to visualize the word collaboration, they don't give you images of humans getting replaced. They generate these incredible pictures of fusion, of hybridization, of a new kind of co-creation. The machine itself sees this as a partnership.
So the thinking is, the future of creative work isn't about replacement, it's about redefinition.
The value is shifting away from the painstaking manual craftsmanship and more towards high-level conceptual oversight. Guiding the AI, curating what it makes, and providing that essential human vision.
And this isn't some far-off future thing. We're already seeing it happen. Entirely new hybrid jobs are popping up that just flat out didn't exist a few years ago. Roles like AI art director, prompt engineer, or synthetic media strategist. These all demand creative chops and an understanding of these new AI tools.
And it's not just hypothetical. Real artists and creators are already jumping on this. The photographer Dahlia Dresser calls AI a supercharger for her work. It takes care of the boring, tedious tasks, which frees her up to focus on the bigger picture, the more complex parts of her artistic vision.
So, all of this leads to one last, kind of philosophical and totally unexpected idea. In a world that's about to be flooded with AI-generated content, what happens to what we value?
Okay, stick with me here, because this is a really interesting twist. As AI gets better and better at making technically perfect, flawless stuff, we as a society might actually start to value the exact opposite. We might find a new love for things that are messy, flawed, and unmistakably human.
Just picture this for a second. An AI writes a novel that's perfect in every single way. The plot, the grammar, the pacing, it's all flawless. And yet, readers find themselves drawn to some self-published author's book because of its imperfections. The weird turns of phrase, the raw emotion, even the little typos. They become signs of authenticity. They become real points of human connection.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. In an age where machines are mastering perfection, will our greatest and most uniquely human strength turn out to be our beautiful,